What is going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new college degree that puts you nearly, I'm gonna say around, I don't know, $100,000 in debt for a job that you didn't need. Sad but true. I do want to apologize, guys, first of all, for not uploading frequently as I used to. Things have been a little chaotic in my workplace, and I don't even know how people actually with full-time jobs could still do YouTube videos. I really don't. But anyways, enough about that. Let's get on with the video. Today we're going to be talking about asynchronous Redux actions. Now, we already talked about Firebase and almost the basics, all the basics of Firebase database. And now we're going to be implementing Firebase with our Redux application. But we do have a little problem. We do want to shoot the information to the Firebase and then dispatch our action to our Redux store. Now, if you forgot about what actions are, they're basically this right here where we tell it, hey, the action is at expense. And what do we do once we dispatch this action? Well, we just add this information to our Redux store. And that is basically it. That's it. Now, you might be wondering, well, where exactly do we actually put this kind of code, this right here, this dot push in our application? And some of you might be thinking, well, you might be pushing it in our components in our budget add. For this example, we're going to just be doing our add-in and expense. So for add-in expense, we might be pushing this or adding that Firebase code into this component right here. Converting this into a class and then creating a function that does this and all that. I'm not going to say that's the wrong way to doing it, but it's not the best way to do it. The reason why is because you know how I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of YouTube videos saying that separate your front end from your back end. Firebase is kind of a back end kind of thing, so it's dealing with primarily a database. So you don't want your front end ever touching or doing anything with the back end stuff, or you want a middle ground, a middle tier, or middleware. There you put it, middleware. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be separating the front end from the back end and just adding a middleware that does everything for us. So with that said, our middleware is actually in the folders actions, and we're going to actually be adding that kind of stuff in here. All right, let me get rid of this. We don't even need this. So our actions, if you did forget, I'm going to just recap just a bit because it is kind of important. When you dispatch an action, so when a component calls an action, generator, right? This is an action generator. What does it do? Well, the action generator returns an object, which is this object right here. And then the component dispatches this object, right? And then the Redux store changes. It changes to the whatever we just pushed, right? Which is this. What's different about how we're going to set this up is that instead of actually returning objects, we're going to be returning functions. Now, functions is something that Redux is not good friends with, I guess you could say. That's why we do primarily objects, because Redux is object based, I guess you could say it that way. Yeah, it only works with objects, but we can add middleware that will help us with converting, making Redux play with functions nicer, process functions better, whatnot. So if I were to change this to a function right now, return a function instead of an object, I will get errors because Redux doesn't do that. We could actually add a middleware, which is called Redux Docs, that does that for us. Anyways, enough about that. So we're going to be when the component calls an action generator, like add expense, we're going to, instead of returning an object, we're going to return a function, and then the component dispatches the function, and then the function runs. Inside that function, we're going to be dispatching our action, which is this. So enough talking. Let's actually write it out so that way you could actually look at it better. I'm pretty sure you prefer that anyways. So before we even do anything in here in Firebase, our Firebase, which is in Firebase folder and our Firebase.js, I'm actually going to comment all this out. We don't need this. And no, not in here, in our store right here. This is, remember, this store is our Redux store, and we are going to have to configure this just a bit so that way, like I said, we could make Redux play nicely with functions when we actually call them out. So before we actually mess things around in here, we do need to add Redux thunk. So just yarn add Redux thunk. And then once you have that in there, we're going to do import. I'm just call it thunk from Redux thunk. Just like that. And to actually apply this, we do need to add another module up here, and it's actually called apply middleware from Redux. And we could use apply middleware to apply our thunk module, which is this. Awesome. And where is this at? Budget store. So I don't even need this. I don't even know why I have that. So control save. Now that we have that, we applied our middleware thunk. We could actually go in here, our Firebase, and actually mess around things in here. Now it's not much for what we're going to be messing around. I just comment everything out for our, our stuff, when we change our data. All I'm going to do here is export our Firebase and our database. That is it. So that way we could have access to it wherever we want. So export Firebase and then database, and we're gonna set database as default, just like that, and that is it. Now we could just call it wherever we need to, so that way we could have access to our database and Firebase. So now inside of, not in here, expense action, this is where we're gonna do most of our work. Now, like I said, we are gonna be creating another action that creates functions, so that way we could actually dispatch our actions, our expense actions inside that function. So in here, I'm actually going to copy this. Copy, paste, because we're going to call this start, and then add expense. We're going to just start the process of adding an expense. And it's going to be a arrow function, and inside we are going to be giving it information. We're going to be giving it the expense data. And if we do not set, if we do not give it expense data, we're going to set it to an empty object. Now, this part right here is going to be almost exactly like this first part up here. We're going to just be rewriting it a bit differently. So, after all that, like I said, after all this is done, we do return something, but instead of returning an object, we return a function. So we're going to return an arrow function, just like so. And this function right here does get called with dispatch, since it is called internally from Redux. I was thinking real hard how to spell dispatch. But anyways, it does get called with dispatch. This is called internally with Redux. So in here, where are we? Tab it. This is where I said we're going to do a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a const of an object, and we're going to set that equal to the expense data we sent in, or we got in. So expense data. Expense data. But instead of having an empty object, we're going to actually create our default object right here. So I'm going to just copy this and put it in right here. So we're just, like I said, this first part is exactly the same thing as this first part up here. We're creating our default. If nothing is getting sent in, we're just creating our default right here and just setting it to expense data. If there is no description, there's no note, just set it to equal, this is pretty simple stuff right here. Whew. All right, now that we have all this set up, or our default set up, now we could actually focus on sending data to the database, and then dispatching our add expense action. So up here, we are going to need to import database from Firebase /Firebase. Control save. Don't know why I control save a lot. It's just a habit. And down here, I am going to create one more const. And we're going to set this equal to expenses or expense, since it's just one expense. And we're going to set that equal to an object that has our description, our note, our amount, and created at. All right, now we're actually ready to send this off to the database, our Firebase database. Right here, we're going to do database.ref, and this should not be new to you whatsoever. We already talked about this in the last videos. Expense. We're going to be pushing in our expense, and then a dot then. When it comes back, we do get a reference. You already know this. So, and then we're going to dispatch. Once all of that is set and done, we're going to dispatch our add expense action. Awesome. Now, we're not done with this section just yet. We are going to just modify up here for right now. So right here, we're not going to set the default no more, because we already have the default down here. Instead, we're going to add just expense, since we are going to be adding some data inside of here, just not yet. And then we are going to be returning something, which is our type is always going to be something with type and then something in here, and then our expense. Now, obviously, we don't need this no more to destructure our expense, since we already sending in our expense right here. So what I'm going to be doing is just spreading, or actually just pushing in expense right here. Sorry about that, not spreading, just pushing our expense. So anyways, down here, now you might be wondering, why do we need this ref? Well, remember over here we were creating our unique identifier with UUID, but since we actually add an expense, it does come back with a unique identifier. So we're going to be using ref to get the key or the unique identifier from that. So in here, we are going to be adding in ref dot key, which is our unique identifier, and also spreading out. Oh, sorry. We're going to be adding our ID, that is our ref dot key, and then right here we're going to be spreading out the expense, just like so. Let me see that. All right. Almost done. Control save this. Now, inside of our components, our budget add, we're not using add expense no more. What we're doing is dispatching. I don't even know why I said it like that. Start add expense. So anywhere that you saw add expense, I'm just putting in start add expense. So right there, and then one right here, paste right there. And now we should be done. So this should be no different from what we did last time. All we're doing is pushing something to the database first, and then dispatching our action, so that way our store has that information as well, our Redux store. So control save. Now go right here, our budget snob. Let's go back one, and I might just delete everything from our database and just start from new. So we don't have nothing inside budget snob. Okay, awesome. Now in here, I'm just going to refresh it, just, take some precaution measures, and we're going to be adding something. Let's go to add. We're going to add glasses. I do need new glasses because mine broke and I look somewhat dumb. Well, yeah, I'm not even going to say no more after that. So anyways, I bought them at $329, and I'm not going to leave a note. I'm just leave it like that. So we add an expense. Over here, we should have a new thing. Yes, we do. Our unique identifier with the amount 30, glasses, whatever. Over here, we do need to switch the date range. We did buy at March, so I'm going to say March 1st. And there we go. We do have our glasses right here, and it's actually showing up, which is awesome, which is what we wanted. Now, if I do refresh the page, and if I do set the range again to March 1st, you're going to notice something. We don't see our expense And the reason why is because, well, we're not, Redux Store doesn't save the data anywhere, you know. It's just a state manager. Remember that. So we're not reading the data from the Firebase to actually display it on our store or give it to the store. We're not reading that. We haven't done that yet. That's why we don't see anything right now. Right now the store is empty, obviously. So what we need to do now is actually read the data from our store or from our database to push it into the store. But that should be all you. It should be all you. You should know how to do that now that you know what we're doing. Nothing different. It's just remove expense, add expense, and then we're going to be reading expense from filter actions right here. Okay, so it's pretty great. This is all awesome. Now that fetching expenses and fetching stuff from Firebase database, that's going to be in the next video. If you want to give it a shot, try to give it a shot. If you don't, then just wait until the next video. Like I said, guys, these been hectic in my work, so I don't know when the next video is going to be coming out. But that said, thank you guys so much for spending time with me today, or giving me some of your time watching these videos. I really do appreciate it. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you haven't, please subscribe. You know, if I'm doing a good job, you actually like the way I teach and all that stuff, please subscribe, and also leave a comment down below on what you thought about the video, what could I do better, etc., 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 all the same stuff. And thanks, guys. Honestly, I really do thank you for staying with me, even though I haven't been posting frequently. Thank you for staying, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, and take care of yourselves. Bye.